Lord, you have made us for yourselves, and our hearts are truly restless until they find their rest in you. Grant, Lord, that we may hear you and see you in the written and spoken and proclaimed word. For we ask and pray this through Christ, who is our Lord. Amen. Please be seated. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to see you all again. I'm so happy to see that you have not run away. The sheep are still here in the fold. I understand that you have been taken care of very well. So it is good to see you all today here with us on this very warm Sunday morning. I want to share with you this morning some words from John's Gospel, chapter 6 and verse 51. Jesus said, I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats of this bread will live forever. And the bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh. While on vacation with my family over the past few weeks, we tried to take advantage of as many beach days as possible. When I came back, someone said, Father, you look like you have some sun. We did. Now, we did not get to go as often as we would have liked to the beach, mainly on account of the weather. You wake up one morning and it looks great, but the minute you're about to step out the door, the clouds have rolled in. But whenever we were able to go, it was always an enjoyable time. Our kids loved going to the beach as well. And although they had a good time whenever we went, we have discovered over time that they each have very different temperaments when it comes to the water. Doran, the oldest one, tends to panic if even the slightest bit of water splashes on her face. She's screaming as if someone is trying to murder her. Karis, the younger one, on the other hand, she doesn't mind it at all. If water splashes on her face, she simply wipes it away or shakes it off and continues on as if nothing even happened. And so watching their interactions with the water reminded me of my own experiences as a child. I didn't always like the water. And I especially did not like it when my feet could not touch the bottom, whether it was the sand or the bottom of a swimming pool somewhere. So like Doran, I would panic. And of course, panicking under such circumstances only makes things that much more dangerous. I had to learn to like the water. I had to learn how to swim. When you're learning how to swim, I think one of the first things that any good swim instructor will teach you is how to float. How many of you know how to float? All right, we have to have some swim classes in here too. How to float, right? It is a survival skill which you use perhaps when you're out in the deep water and you get tired or you're injured or cramped or fatigued in some way and your feet can't touch the bottom, so you can't stand up. All you do is lie on your back with what? Your arms out to the side, you arch your chest a bit, and you just lay there. And learning to float is at the same time a way of learning to trust the water. Trusting that the water will buoy up your weight and keep you afloat. In our gospel passage today from John, the impact of Jesus' remarkable words upon those who followed him that day was a lot like him taking them out into the deep water where their feet could no longer touch the bottom, and inviting them to learn how to float in that vast sea of God's grace. First hearing, Jesus' words at their worst might have sounded to the Jews and perhaps to some of us like an invitation to a kind of cannibalism. Jesus said, I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats of this bread will live forever, and the bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh, he says. But hearing these words another way, perhaps only slightly less disturbing for the Jews, was the fact that here was this man from Nazareth whose earthly lineage they could trace. They knew his parents, but who was now also claiming to be the living bread which had come down from heaven. And he was inviting them to come to him, and to come to him in faith, so that they might never hunger or thirst again. And so this was quite a stretch for them. Jesus was taking them out into deep spiritual waters, where their feet could no longer touch the bottom. And so it is no wonder that some of them began to panic. The scriptures tell us that the Jews began to complain about him because of the things that he was saying about himself, the claims that he was making about himself. And so in many ways, this passage, not unlike that which we heard from the psalmist today, is an invitation to each and every one of us to come and to truly trust in this Jesus Christ as the living bread who has come down from heaven for the life of the world. And to do so not merely with our lips, but with our entire lives. In this Jesus Christ, my friends, God extends to us the invitation to rest the whole weight of our lives upon him, as if reclining or sitting in a chair. He is inviting us to listen attentively to the sound of his voice amidst the loud and confusing sounds we often hear all around us, and to follow him even when the way forward seems uncertain, even when it seems uncomfortable, even when it seems unclear. So Jesus' words are an invitation for us, you and I, to come and to feed on him in this spiritual sense, striving day by day, moment by moment, with all that we have and all that we are, to come to learn what it means to float in this vast sea of God's grace, in order that we might become more and more like him in all we think, in all we say, in all we do. For this is, by definition, our salvation, our being saved, our being made whole, our being set apart. This is what it means to have faith in him and to trust in him. It means that we are determined not to place our faith and trust or find certainty in any other thing. Someone has rightly said that the opposite of faith is not doubt, but certainty. Think about that. The opposite of faith is not doubt, but certainty. As human beings, no matter who we are or where we are, we all have a very deeply rooted hunger and thirst for something more. Some one thing or many things that we're striving after, because deep down we have this sense that attaining this thing or attaining these things will bring us a sense of security, will bring us a sense of certainty within our lives. So we find that as we look around, as some people's whole lives are consumed with, for example, trying to figure out how they can make more money. Some people's lives are consumed with acquiring more and more things they want but don't necessarily need. Some people's lives are consumed with trying to network, trying to build alliances in order to hold on to positions of power, in order to hold on to positions of influence. Some people's lives are consumed by the ideologies they hold, their ideas, their values and beliefs, the ideals that they hold on to. And sometimes it is these very things which may prevent them from truly coming to be honest about their own failures and shortcomings. We only want to see ourselves in one way. Some people are consumed by the desire to be truly known and truly loved by someone else. Consumed by the desires and the relationships that we inhabit. There are some who are willing to sacrifice more for those whom they love than for God. And it is difficult. So the question that I have for you is, what is it that consumes your life? What does your life feed off of? You cannot survive without it. Some of you will know the familiar saying, which has been around for centuries now. It says, you are what you eat. You heard that before, right? You are what you eat. And it is a saying, I believe, which reminds us that that which we take into our bodies, whether that's physically or spiritually, those things which we devote ourselves to in this life will inevitably, no matter how we try to hide it, it will inevitably manifest itself in our lives. You think you can sneak and eat those chocolate bars? It's going to show up. Someone is going to be able to tell. You think you can sneak and be involved in that relationship that no one will know? It's going to come out. It will become manifest in your body. You think you can avoid spending time in the Word of God and fasting and prayer? Well, that too comes out. And this is why St. Paul, in the letter to the Ephesians for today, expected that those who are striving to imitate Christ, to feed on this living bread which has come down from heaven, would manifest in their lives truthful speech toward their neighbors. That they would deal appropriately with their anger, not allow the sun to go down on your anger. Be angry, but do not sin. He expected that they would be able to be people who would speak what builds up, not tears down. Speak that which would give grace to the neighbor, rather than harboring for years bitterness or wrath or slander or malice, and the list goes on in Ephesians. But I believe that this is also why it is so very important for us to pay very close attention to the things, the idols that we end up pursuing in this life, trying to satisfy that deep hunger and thirst that we all have. But the fact of the matter is that if we are not seeking to know, seeking to follow, seeking to become more like this Jesus Christ, then we will always be hungry and thirsty in this life. And the point is that there are many who spend and expend their entire lives being consumed by going after those things which seem to hold importance in this temporal life, but which ultimately have no value in that life that is eternal. What shall it profit us if we gain the whole world, but yet forfeit or lose our soul? And so one hymn writer put it this way, he said, "The dearest idol that I have known, whatever that idol be, help me, praise, to tear it from thy throne and worship only thee." Dearest idol that I have known, whatever that idol be, help me to tear it from thy throne and worship only thee. What idols do you have set up in your lives? What consumes your life, your time, your efforts, your thoughts, your talents, your resources? What does your life feed off of? Jesus says, "Come and feed on me, the living bread that has come down from heaven. Come and feed on me in order that you may be consumed by and with me," he says. I want you to just pretend as if you are floating for the moment. Just do what you would do if you thought that you were out in the midst of the water and you had to float, what would be your posture? Arms like this, right? Arms out to the side. There is a point to this. You can do it, it's okay. If your neighbor's too close, just ask them to move over a little. What does that remind you of? Just look around. What does that remind you of? This is the light. Does it not look like our Lord's arms outstretched on the cross? I believe, my friends, that that's important because this Christian journey is at root a journey of trust and of faith, of learning how to float in the sea of God's grace. It is an invitation and a privilege to follow the God who is always beckoning us to come out just a little farther from the shore where our feet cannot touch the bottom, where we must learn to depend for certainty and security upon Him and Him alone. And to that end, it is also an invitation to experience what it is to be drawn more deeply into the heart of God's own life, to learn to trust in this one whose love for us will never let us go, neither in this life or in that life which is eternal. So wherever you may be in your spiritual life and journey this morning, wherever we may be here at St. Stephen in our spiritual journey as a congregation, my prayer is that we will hear and heed God's invitation to us to step out a little farther where our feet can't touch the bottom, in order that we may learn to feed on Him, this living bread who has come down